Hello everyone and welcome to Don't Be Bored. Today I'm back with another designer interview. Today I'm joined by David, the designer of Pencil Book Quest, a solo adventure game that's got monsters, loot and more. So welcome David, please introduce yourself and let us know a little bit about the game.
Hey Oliver, thanks for having me. I'm David, the designer of Pencil Book Quest, which is a paper and pencil dungeon crawler that's designed for travel. There's really only three components to the game. You have the book, the bookmark for storing some of your stats, and then a pencil, which doubles as a six-sided die. Each level in the book is a little bit of a puzzle as you figure out how to open the chest, fight monsters, gain loot, all the typical dungeon crawler stuff, all in an attempt to gain as much glory as possible.
Having no setup and being so portable for gaming on the go, that's just huge. Was the game always like this?
It was. From day one, this game was meant for travel. Even the very first iteration of its predecessor, Pocketbook Adventures, was designed around the idea of just picking up the game wherever you are and diving in. I've heard of people playing it on trains, in airports, even the doctor's office. I like how the setup is just open the book. But I also designed it so that you can stop playing very abruptly as well. Just close the book and pick up wherever you left off later on. You don't have to really finish a level in one session. The game just naturally stores your game state. So let's say the doctor calls you back. You can just close the book and go on.
I've heard of planes and trains, but a doctor's office being a gaming area, well, that's actually a new one to me. Now, there's going to be monsters and loot like with any good RPG and dungeon crawler. Where did you draw your sort of inspiration from for that? And, well, can you give us an example of one bit of loot that you might pick up in Pencil Book Quest?
A big inspiration for this game was actually the Legend of Zelda video games. As far as monsters go, I really love how the boss fights are always these big dramatic events. So I tried to capture that in Pencil Book Quest. Many times the game doesn't tell you when a boss fight is coming. So as you go further into the wilderness, you start to think, things aren't looking really good for me right now. I could really use a town to heal. And the fear that there may instead be this giant monster just waiting for you at the end creates what I think is a really great buildup of either relief or just complete dread. Um, I also love how Zelda handles certain loot, heart containers in particular. While there are definite dungeon crawler or RPG aspects to that series, Heart containers really do a fantastic job of simplifying the experience points and leveling up compared to your typical RPG or dungeon crawler. And I tried to do the same thing with Pencil Book Quest. With the game being so travel friendly, it didn't really make much sense to me to focus too much on like number crunching and experience points leveling up. So I made a one particular item called a max heart, is what we call it. That works very similar to a heart container. That's essentially the way that you level up, just by getting those items. And then we place them throughout the game. So either you have to puzzle out how to get one, or beat a mini game in a town, and that's how you get stronger throughout the game.
Zelda's not too bad an inspiration source. I'm pretty sure many people will be excited just hearing that that is a sort of source of inspiration for the game. Now, let's have a look under the hood a little bit in terms of when you were designing the game. What would you say was the biggest change that the game underwent through the development process?
One of the nice things about this game is that most of its gameplay was already vetted by its predecessor. But probably the biggest change that came with that was when I was first developing combat and movement. The game uses this really interesting mechanic. I call it aiming because I don't really know what else you would call it. Um, but the idea is that you place the tip of your pencil on a point in the page, and then without looking, you can look away or you close your eyes, whatever you want to do. But you can't look. You lift your pencil up and place it down on a target on the page. And then where you land on that target tells you what the outcome of that event was. Well, during the early development, I used that aiming system for both combat and movement, just as a way to introduce some randomness without using dice, right? Because we're looking to be very travel friendly, so no dice, and this was a good way to add that randomness. Um, for combat, that system worked just phenomenally well. Each monster now has a target underneath that you aim at, and then where you land tells you how much HP you lost during the fight. It tells you if you've triggered that monster's special ability. It works really, really well for that. For movement, though, it was kind of clunky. Before you moved, every time before you moved, you would have to aim at this, special target that was designed to simulate, two different dice rolls, and it just lots of extra steps for something as simple as movement. And then giving that game to playtesters and talking with them afterward, I finally realized that it really aiming didn't work for movement. So I decided to remove it altogether from that piece of the game. Um, and what that did was actually open up the movement to the puzzles that you now see on every level. Um, you have what kind of like an invisible maze almost as you figure out how to get to the chest and open it up. So now the combat still has that really neat aiming system, and then movement has this optional puzzle. You don't have to do it, but it's there if you want it, if you want to get the good stuff. And the combination of those two just make the game really shine, I think.
I love how you took that feedback and rather than just, oh, we'll remove it, you changed it into having that movement puzzle, and that does sound like a cool sort of element to the game. So it sounds like that feedback really did help sort of elevate the whole game. Now, this isn't the first game. This isn't your first pencil book game. You actually did pencil book adventures before. Now, what did you do this time around to make sure that it was a unique new game?
That's a great question. A lot of the core gameplay is going to feel really familiar to anyone who has played Pocketbook Adventures. But this game is bigger. It's more levels, more bosses. There's more puzzle types, newer puzzle types. Um, I think, though, the biggest change is that the original game was linear. You just went forward through the book, from page to page. Pencil Book Quest, though, is closer to choose your own adventure. Um, Whenever you come to a town, you have two different quests to choose from, and each of them create a new branch in the path through the game. Um, some of those will take you to another town where you have two new quests to choose from, or you can, of course, you can go back to any uncompleted quests before. Some of the quests, though, will dead end at a boss fight, and you don't always know which one is which. Um, but the neat thing, another neat thing, is that the boss fights give you a chance to gain special types of items that are really useful to you. Um, but they also take up slots as a regular item. So if you were to fill up your entire inventory with these special items, you wouldn't ever be able to heal yourself. And so they would actually end up making the game harder for you. And I really like that bit of tension there, where you decide, is this item worth it for me to carry, or do I have to give it up just so that I can, beat these other levels? And it makes for an interesting decision, something that wasn't there in the original game.
Adding meaningful decisions for players and ones that might screw themselves over. It's like, I made that decision earlier and it's come back to bite me. I like that sort of thing. Now, where can people go to find out more about the game?
We will be live on Kickstarter September 9th through October 2nd. And the pre-launch page is already up, so you can go take a look now and even download a printable tutorial to walk you through how the game plays if you want. So definitely go check it out.
And well, that wraps us up. A huge thank you to David for coming on and answering these questions. Hopefully you've enjoyed listening and hearing a little bit about Pencil Book Quest. The links mentioned will be in the description box downstairs, and while you're going down, like, subscribe and comment of course. And until next time, check out other designer interviews and stuff on the channel. Thanks for watching.